read more about what this issue of financial distress is all about. So let me share the notes. So financial distress in simple terms just means you are struggling. It's not, it doesn't mean that you are unable completely, but you are struggling. So it is a condition, it's a financial condition where a company, or it can even be an individual, you are not generating enough revenues or income, and you are unable or struggling to meet your financial obligations. Okay? Now, there can be so many causes about this. One of which is that maybe you are living in a very expensive house, so your fixed costs monthly are so large, or your assets that you have are not assets that you can easily liquidate and pay off your financial obligations monthly or every 3 months or whatever. So for example, maybe your assets are houses or land, these fixed assets. It's very difficult for you to easily liquidate them. Long-term assets or fixed assets are difficult to liquidate, and you might be unable to meet your financial obligations. That is why for bankers, suppliers, they want to see whether you are able to have liquid assets that you can easily liquidate and generate revenue to pay off or honor your financial obligations. So sometimes it is because your revenue sources are so sensitive to changes in the economy. Just the example that I gave you about company B. Sorry. But for individuals, you also have financial distress created sometimes due to poor management or poor budgeting, sometimes overspending, sometimes too much ngongole, a heavy load of debts, or it can be loss of employment, or things like that. Now, financial distress have to be tackled as early as you see them. When you see signs of distress, do something about it, because if you don't, they can lead to some serious problems later on. So you should not ignore any signs of financial distress, because if you don't, they can be devastating to the company. It may be too late for you to intervene if this condition persists. So you are living in a very expensive rented house, and you don't want to move. You see you are struggling, or the company is struggling and it still wants to rent offices in city center. Borrowing doesn't borrowing money to pay for your rent is not a solution. So you need to find a solution immediately to avert disaster. So when your revenues and income are not able to meet your financial obligations, you are in distress. And it can lead to bankruptcy. So bills must be paid when they are due. They must be paid when they are due. So good examples are, if you can not pay your loan obligations every month, you know, the bank will come in and try to claim, they will come and claim the collateral. And that can be something that is nasty. And this third part of it is that productivity of such a company may also get affected. Why? You know, when employees notice, that the company is going in financial trouble, they start fearing that there will also be a time where they cannot be paid. So it drives down the enthusiasm. Morale goes down for your workers, and that can affect your productivity. Now, if it affects your productivity, it will affect your performance. It will affect your profitability. So if you are an investor, you may want to be looking at financial statements to see whether there is some indication of financial distress, or if sometime in the past, this company went through a situation of financial distress. Did they ever have a problem servicing their loans, for example? And if you notice such things, you may actually be propelled or forced not to buy shares for such companies. So there are a number of signs that you can detect from studying the financial statements of these companies over a period of time. And you might, one of the distresses is maybe declining profits. Another one is difficulties in raising capital. Through loans or other debt instruments. That can give you some indication of that some people have already noted that this company is not good enough. Suppliers refusing to offer raw materials on credit. That too tells a story. So other indicators are like declining sales. Sales are just declining over the years. Poor growth of sales, and that can actually depict impending problems. Sometimes you can look at marketing to see how a company is struggling to grow sales. Sometimes is by looking at their marketing budget. If their marketing budget is becoming more and more huge, and yet there is no growth, that is a flag that the company is unable to attract customers. Sometimes you can look at declining quality of goods and services. Then you also start, getting suspicious. So for example, if this company is a transport company, a bus company, you start seeing that they are not maintaining their buses are becoming dirty, they are not coming on time. So declining quality of service is another indicator that something is probably not working very well. And because of that, you can predict that customers are likely to move away from this company, go to another company. So that's another sign of, an impending distress, financial distress for the company. Sometimes you can guess by looking at how long it takes to be paid for whatever goods they are supplying to their customers. That is likely to affect cash flow. So over the years, you have been seeing that your company is getting paid beyond the limit. So for example, you have supplied things to people and you give them 30 days, you find yourself, your customers not paying in time, taking too long. That too will easily stretch you and you'll be unable to meet your monthly financial obligations. So when you are unable to meet your financial obligations, that's what we call financial distress. So from these signs, you can actually come up with approaches on how you can avoid this. From the signs that we have discussed, you just have to do something about these signs before they become a real problem. So what is the first one? Maybe for me, the first one is to reorganize, look at your cost envelope. Okay? Which costs can you cut? Now you have fixed costs, you have variable costs, and other costs. Which ones do you start with? So maybe variable costs are some of the ones you can easily cut, but that might actually affect your production levels. Maybe fixed costs, the example we gave of you, for example, changing to a cheaper office block, or you changing to a cheaper house. So the second one is review your plans, review your projects. If you have been trying to build more warehouses, buy more vans to distribute your things, review those plans. Maybe you are better off, using agents and paying commissions instead of you going into direct sales. So there are things that you can do on your plans, you know, relook at your plan and adjust. And the third one is probably restructuring your debts. If you have too many short-term, high interest paying loans, try to restructure them. If you can go back and renegotiate. Restructuring can be ongoing or one-off, but it's one of those things you can do to renegotiate your debts and change the repayment terms to give you a breather. Okay, are there any questions so far? Now, if we had time, we would go into what are some of the options getting out of the business. If you know you can hardly correct or reorganize yourself, you can hardly salvage the company. What are the steps you can go or follow to get out of the business? So harvesting the business or selling the business. If the structuring can't help, there are ways that you can get out of business. How do you liquidate, for example? So those, maybe on your own, you can read about those if you have you have interest to go deeper into this to these issues about companies which are in distress. So when we meet on Saturday, we will look at areas of study for your exams. But should you have any questions so far, you are free to ask me, or even ask me on through the WhatsApp connections that we have. Anybody with any comment or question?
Yes.
Yes.
I didn't get you on the first solution to this
The first one I said cut costs.
Oh.
Yeah. So, you know, costs come in different forms. They can be fixed, they can be variable. Variable costs are those that increase with output. So maybe you can see whether you can produce the same amount with less people or with less materials. I don't know. The problem is that if you try to reduce on, for example, if you are producing cement and then you are trying to reduce your variable cost, the raw materials used, you may end up having a quality, a poor quality product. But maybe labor, maybe you can reorganize yourself, or I think such as fixed costs, such as rent. You can try to move your office from a more, some areas are very expensive. So maybe you can move to some cheaper place. Yeah, so cut costs, that was the first thing you can do. Or take less expensive loans. Or restructure your loans portfolio. And so on and so on. So amongst the various things that happen is, for example, some companies will choose to go for debt counseling. not cancel like CANCEL. You know, to be cancelled. Like engaging some financial experts to advise you what to do. So counseling. You can do that. Is another form of yeah. Fula, do you want to speak?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
Sir, assuming assuming that, not assuming, but let's take a scenario of a developing country.
Yeah.
Where we also have businesses that are operating, providing services and products to the population within that place. So it can be either an international business or operating domestically. You explained about financial distress as defined as a business failing to meet its obligations, financial obligations.
Yes.
So my question, looking at the economic situation in that country, can we also, or how can we relate financial distress for a business to the economic situation of that country?
Yes, that's why you remember I talked about company A and company B. Some companies are struggling to make a profit. So if you are struggling to make a profit, definitely you will not be able to meet your financial obligations. If the economic situation gets bad, because for you, you struggle to make profit. And for you to struggle to make profit, it means there are certain things that you are not doing correctly. So all companies that are not strong enough in generating income, in generating cash flow, they will have financial distress if they don't do anything about it.
Power off.
So yes, if a company is doing something and then there's maybe, for example, the government is borrowing too much money and interest rates have gone up, so that has made your company, because when interest rates go up, they go up for everybody. And that affects companies that have taken too much loans and blah, 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 blah. So it's the management. How did you look at your capital structure? How did you deal with the capital structure? You made wrong calculations. Now, if things happen to be bad, you get hit. So it's all about making wise financial decisions about your capital structure, for example, about your operating environment, about your cost structure, and even your ability to generate production, and you're looking at the cost of production. So there are all those variables that as a business you have to look at. Should something happen, how will you be affected? Sure, Fula. So are we okay, or anybody has got any question?
I'm okay. I just needed to understand how the economic situation of a country will affect the performance or the financial performance of a business.
Yeah, the economic situation of a country will always affect the performance of a business. A business has got two things: controllable costs and uncontrollable costs. Controllable costs are the things that the management can control. and therefore their performance is based on whether they have been able to control costs or not. Then there are uncontrollable costs, which are external to the business. So your business is operating in an environment where certain factors are external to your decision making. Your manager does not have any control about it. So issues such as inflation, your company has got no control over how the general increase of goods in the economy will be. Issues of interest rates, issues of exchange rates, issues of government restrictions. There are so many of these things that a company finds itself as its external environment. Now, it is the responsibility of each company to see how things that are beyond their control can be mitigated against. So you can hedge against, for example, devaluations by making sure that if you have external customers, you put your money in dollars. Once you get paid, you open a dollar account with the Reserve Bank or with the National Bank or whatever bank you have, so that when there's a devaluation, you don't get hit. Or if their interest rates increases because of a government behavior in terms of expenditures, when government overspends too much, interest rates will go up. Now, if interest rates go up, they will affect, because a lot of interest rates are based on the what is prevailing. So maybe you can hedge against that by making sure you take loans on ngongores where the interest rate is fixed. It doesn't vary on with it doesn't vary with changes to the interest rate structure. So you find money by issuing bonds, for example, where the amount of what you will pay is fixed. The interest is predetermined. So you don't have to worry about, you have taken this bond, which is 10-year bond, and you are paying twice a year at a fixed amount. So you just have to, the only thing you can do is to mitigate. But there are certain things that the government, the company itself is to blame. Why did you go for a capital structure where it is too much debt and very little equity? Because that's where financial obligations come in. Equity does not affect your financial obligations in most cases, because equity holders are paid dividends after you have made profit. But if you use debt to finance your company, just know that you have to have good liquidity. That's why banks look at your cash flow statement. And if something happens, that cash flow is no longer what it has been over the past 4 or 5 years, you are in trouble. So yes, economic environment affects a company performance, to answer you in short.
I get it now.
Yeah. Any other question? Okay, so I will share these when we meet on Saturday. God willing, I'm sure I'll be able to be there on Saturday because I'm progressing well now. So, and my doctor said I can start work. So hopefully we will meet on Saturday. But if you have burning questions, you can always get in touch with me. Otherwise, a lot of what we have been learning so far, you have the material. It may be scattered, but in various books that you have had. I will not preempt what the study areas are. We will discuss them when we meet. So otherwise, have a blessed night.
It is a
Thank you.
How many times have we met? On
Times.
Sorry?
2 times.
Sorry?
Kawili ndekuti
Not
kawili.
katatu.
No, Kawili.
Kawiri?
Yes.
We met on Saturday in the evening, is it?
Yes.
Yes,
And then today,
Yeah.
or we didn't meet?
Yeah.
Sorry?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fine. I just wanted to be sure how many times we have met.
It's 2 times.
Okay,
2 times.
2 times. Okay, on Saturday, what
Yes.
time did we meet?
Was
Oh,
it
on
around-
Saturday, the class 10:30.
But we also meet in...
Sorry, you mean by Zoom?
Yes.
The
was
Mazulo
half-eight.
we meet number
half 8.
8.
Sorry?
We started at half 8.
When? On Saturday?
Yes.
Okay, so we met only on Saturday and today.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. I just wanted to
Yeah.
be sure how many times we have met on Zoom.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. Okay, so have a great night. Thank you.
You too. Thank you.
Yeah.
What?
Uzokuta wewe.